You know, several years ago, I was just kind of in a very dry place in my life, spiritually. We sometimes get to those places, and I was at this dry place, and I was trying to figure out how I could kind of jumpstart my life and my spiritual walk again. And so I love to read biographies, Any kind of biography, I love to read it, about people's lives. So I was kind of whining one day, and I told God, gosh, it's just who I am. I love to read biographies. I wish I could just read a biography about Jesus. Hello? Yeah, that's kind of what this book is. But you see, I never thought of it that way. I really hadn't. The first 4 books of the New Testament, they're Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and they are biographies of Jesus. And so as I was reading through them, I decided I would read through them with a version of the Bible called The Message. It's kind of a paraphrased version, and it read more like a novel. And so I'm reading through, and oh my goodness, the life of Jesus is like coming alive to me. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing the human experience of Jesus, because you see, up to this point, I knew that when Jesus lived on this earth, he was fully God. But you know what? He was also fully man. Well, we focus on the God part, the miracles that he did when he lived on this earth. He raised people from the dead. He turned the water into wine. He took a few fish and a little bit of bread, and he fed thousands. Those are the miracles. That's the God part. But I hadn't focused on the human side of Jesus, that he actually experienced things that we as human beings experience, and that he really understands my life and your life much more than what I realized. Now, as a mom, a lot of things were really standing out to me. For instance, all of a sudden I was reading one day, and I ran across this simple little verse, and it said this: large crowds followed him everywhere he went. And I thought, that is my life. I have these 5 little people that follow me everywhere I go. Large crowds follow me everywhere I go. Jesus understands that. Another one. Everywhere Jesus went, people wanted to touch him. As a mother, I went, oh my gosh, that is my life. Our 3rd child, Erica, was colicky. That child cried from the day she was born until she was 6 months old. I cried from the day she was born until she was 6 months old. So the only time she wouldn't cry is when I was nursing her. So I kept her attached here as much as possible so we would have peace and quiet. And so then I had this child I felt like was attached to my chest. I had this other preschooler on this leg and this other preschooler on this leg, and I felt like I walked around life like this. And then I would fall in bed at night next to a husband who had a gleam in his eye. And I wanted to say, one more person touches this body, it is not going to be a pretty sight. I had never, ever considered the fact that Jesus would understand what it feels like to have no personal space. I never thought about that. You may not be a mom, but I'll bet you anything you've had somebody let you down. Somebody who has said they'll be there for you, and then they weren't. Jesus gets that. There's a story in the Bible. It's right before he was going to go to the cross and give his life for you and for me. And he knew what he was facing, okay? He's human. He is going to be in extreme pain to be put on a cross. And so he says to his friends, the disciples, I'm going to go pray. Will you pray with me? And they say, yep, we will pray with you. Got you covered. Jesus says, I'm going to pray over here. You pray right here. He said, okay. He goes and he prays. He comes back. Do you know how he finds his friends? They're sleeping. Can you imagine the disappointment? Man, you promised me. You promised me that you would stay awake and you would pray. the disappointment, the feeling of being let down. Have you ever thought about talking to God about that? Because you know what? He gets it. I'll bet you every one of us in this room has experienced the feeling of being betrayed. Jesus was betrayed. You see, you and I have an opportunity to have a relationship with a God who understands our life, our challenges, our failures, our places where life is difficult, where people let us down. He wants that relationship with us, and he gets it.